time for a boat ride. See in the background? Amsterdam. This is where I want to go. Van Gogh Museum. And the 3 EES Amsterdam special lessons are done. Filming in this room has, I have to say, been somewhat of a challenge. Probably not supposed to do this, but in this cupboard I found this blanket. So I chucked that on the floor just to absorb some of the sound that is hitting the ceiling and bouncing down and hitting the floor, and then was bouncing back up and creating that horrible echo. That helped considerably, as did the t-shirts on the wall. Originally I'd planned to film the 3 EES kind of Amsterdam special lessons back in Japan. I was going to film all the B-roll and all the footage here and then actually film the lessons back home. But although it's much easier to make a very polished lesson like that in my studio, which is all, you know, it's been sound treated and I've got better equipment, etc., etc., I don't know, it's just a shame. It's a shame to come all the way to Amsterdam, do an Amsterdam special, but actually film it somewhere else, you know. Even if it's hard to do, if the production quality suffers a little bit, I figured it would be more interesting to film the lessons here, in the thick of it. Today I have no plan other than to just walk around taking video, see what I can see, and go wherever I fancy at that particular moment in time. Oh, it is so windy today. I'm a little bit worried about whether my flight's going to be able to leave on time tomorrow. I've heard that a lot of flights to Cork are being delayed because of weather. And looking at this wind, a bit worried that that might be the case for me too. Time for lunch. Apparently this is a new Heineken beer, half 41. Never heard of it before, but let's try it. It's good. I don't know if you've ever heard of something called the English EF Proficiency Index, but basically it's a scale that compares and ranks 72 countries based on their English proficiency. And guess what? Holland got number 1 last year. Incidentally, number 2 was Denmark and number 3 Sweden, which I think is quite telling, you know, all countries in the same part of the world. But the question for you is why? Why are the Dutch so good at English? Well, I think it definitely helps that English and Dutch are quite similar as far as two languages are concerned. You know, English changed quite a lot after it mixed with French after the Norman invasion in 1066. You know, the Battle of Hastings and all of that. But the two languages, English and Dutch, do share the same Germanic root. So that definitely makes English easier for Dutch people to learn, but that in and of itself is certainly not enough to account for just how good the Dutch are at English. One of the main things, of course, is that Dutch films and TV are not dubbed into Dutch. They're all in English with Dutch subtitles, which means Dutch people are exposed to English from a very, very early age. And as a Swedish friend of mine said, kids are basically lazy and they just don't bother to read the subtitles, meaning they get used to understanding English in English right from the word go. This of course really helps when it comes to you know problems like translating in your head. People who have learned English at school tend to, and started learning English at school, tend to translate everything in their head because they've never had any practice with thinking in English. Whereas here in Holland, kids basically, start doing that from a really, really young age. Then of course there is the socio-economic position that Holland finds itself in. It's a tiny country surrounded by much bigger countries in Europe, and Holland has always relied on international trade, doing business overseas, bringing in money from other countries. So for the Dutch, using English as a lingua franca to do business and to bring in money from overseas, it's just what's done in this country. There's no like, oh my god, we've got to use English to do business. It's just like, well, we do business overseas. English is the international language. We do English. It's a given. I guess it's like I always say, mindset is everything. If you are in a position where just using and speaking English in business, everyday life, wherever you need to speak it is, it's just a given, then, well, you get really bloody good at the language really, really quickly. Well, the rain has started to subside, not much, but it started to. But you know what, it is getting bloody cold out here, so I think it's going to be time for me to call it a day. I didn't meet a single person in Holland whose English wasn't absolutely bloody amazing. The question is, however, is your English absolutely bloody amazing? Because if it's not, you, my friend, need to get your hands on a copy of my book, Master English Fast, an uncommon guide to speaking extraordinary English. This hunk of papery goodness will take you by the hand and walk you through the English improvement process step by simple step and show you everything that you need to know to master the English language as an intermediate to advanced English learner. To get your hands on a copy or to download the first chapter for free, just head over to masterenglishfast.com.